Hi there guys, Joel here from Aussie Chart Trends. Today's update is for Thursday the 21st of February 2013. Today we're going to check out the damage that's been done on the Smp500 and also the bloodbath on the Asx200. Before we get into today's update, I just need to remind you that the website and the video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as any form of investment advice. I'm not a licensed professional. You need to make your own decisions regarding your investments. I'm just here to help anyone searching for a practical direction in today's markets. Okay, so looking at the Smp500 here on the 15-minute chart. In fact, we'll go to the 30-minute chart just initially. In last night's trade, we've seen the S&P break below this red channel line that we've got now newly drawn on the chart. And last night we clearly broke down from this level. And you'll notice I've extended this blue line out that was support here only a couple of times. Once there on the 4th and early on the 5th, we had a bounce, and then we had another tag of support there on the 7th. Now the S&P 500 closed just right on that level last night. So maybe that line might act as an area of support in tonight's trade, and we might get a small bounce here. The other thing that I wanted to mention is if we go to a 15-minute chart, the highs that we've seen here from this rising wedge pattern, if we extend this top level of resistance out, well, we have an area there of support also. So the S&P's found a little area of support here around that 1511 area, exactly where we closed. I'm not too sure how technically significant this blue line will be, but it's something to keep our eye on. Now the other thing that I do want to mention is now that we have broken down from this red rising line, in a perfect world we would expect that the S&P may just bounce here and then rally on back up to backtest this broken trend line. So in the day ahead, let's see if we get that backtest, and if we don't and we just start heading down even further and we break through this blue level here of support, well, we do have this descending level of support here that the S&P may just hug as it comes down. Now we've got this 1500 level as an area of support, and if we go to the 30-minute chart, I can show you where that has been drawn under the lows that we've seen over here, and there's been a number of tags of support around here. We've got a little bit overextended, but overall we do have an area there of support in the 1500s. And most likely we may see eventually a move down to the 1500 area. Now the only other thing that I'd like to mention is if we were to break the 1500 level in the next couple of days, well, we would have this red line here, and that's rising support in the 1470s. Now if we take a look on the hourly chart, that'll give us a good idea there as to where that red line is. So guys, overall, I think it's highly likely we would probably eventually come down to that 1500 level and potentially bounce. So let's see if we get that backtest in tonight's trade on our red line, and if we don't see that backtest in the next couple of days, well, we have lower levels of support around that 1500 level, and that should serve as some support, and we've also got this descending line here. So overall, guys, the S&P looks top heavy to me. It looks as if that we're potentially forming a left shoulder, and we're working on the head right now. So let's just keep our eye on it, and we'll go from there. Alright, let's take a look now at the Asx200. Looking on the hourly chart here of the Asx200, wow, we had a huge sell-off today. I think it was about 118 points. And I think rightly so, because we've been watching the market come up now ever since early November, and we haven't had really one day in the red like this in a long time. So it was about time that the sellers took over, and we've seen this drop in the market. Now in yesterday's video we were discussing this little green channel line, and I was saying that it looked as if that the buying pressure was just waning off and that we were running out of steam. I didn't anticipate that we would get a 118 point drop, but we have clearly broken down, and I think that that's a good thing in a sense that we have pulled back in the market. Now the interesting thing is we've got this orangey brown line that we've had drawn on the chart That's that long-term line that we've looked at since the highs of 2011, around that 4,980 level that has served as resistance for the Asx200 back in April of 2011. So guys, this line, let's see if it holds up as support in tomorrow's trade. If not, we've got all sorts of levels of support just underneath, but roughly around that 4,980 level. And guys, the fact that we've broken this channel line, it'll be very interesting to see if the Asx200 rallies up tomorrow or in the next couple of days of next week to backtest this broken channel line, because I think it does deserve a backtest. But overall, guys, we just have to start looking at support levels now and look for some sort of descending channel. But this sell-off was quite steep today, so we can't even really draw a channel. But we can just leave this line here and see if the Asx200 can get over it in tomorrow's trade. And if we can, there's a possibility that we may see a rally up to either test this support level here of our rising wedge pattern or a back test on this bottom channel line. Interestingly enough, if we do see a move up towards this area, funny enough, the apexes of rising wedge patterns usually get a back test. But overall, we don't have a top. There was no sign of a top up here. The only real sign that we had was this small channel that was developing within our larger channel. And hopefully we'll have some more clear signals, because at the moment we've just come straight down and we're pretty much hovering around this long-term line. So it'll be interesting to see if we get a nice bounce here in the next couple of days. Alright guys, that pretty much wraps up today's market update. I'll be back on Saturday for the weekly review. Thanks for watching.